Love. When you've got it, it seems like everything in the world is actually working for you. It's there to support you. Angie and I were talking right before we turned on the recording, and she reconnected with an old family friend. That's when it feels like the synchronicity of success, when you're in that experience of love, synchronicities begin to happen for you. When you don't have it, when you've lost it, when you've let it go on purpose because it had moved from hurt to harm, well, that's when everything in life feels like it does hurt. And there's a reason for that. It does. The chemicals that you would produce in your system to actually ward off feeling bad, yeah, those aren't there. So, what we're talking about today is tips, tools, and techniques on love, how to experience it, how to enhance it, how to work with it whenever it starts hurting, how to let it go whenever it's harming. So, with me today, I'm on our Insider Secrets to Success. You've met her before. It's Angie.
Hey.
So, Angie, take a moment. If this happens to be the first time that they've come across the podcasts, the videos, uh, introduce yourself and how you help.
Okay. I am Angie Monco, and I am the owner of Harmony Harbor Coaching since 2008. I I work with intuitive women leaders to help them come home to themselves, overcome imposter syndrome, and be authentic. Take off that mask that we all wear, and it just feels a lot lighter. We don't have to put up pretenses I know image is important, but for me, it's like finding your tribe to actually let down that wall. So,
Yeah,
did that
yeah,
make sense, Dawn?
it does. So let's take a moment and talk about why did we have to build that wall to start with? When we talk about imposter syndrome,
Yeah.
what causes imposter syndrome, do you think? What is it?
Yeah.
And why do we have to build a wall to protect ourselves to start with?
For me, and I think a lot of people, we start out when we're young and something happens and we feel ashamed. We feel ashamed of something. For me, it was with my dad, and there was tension in the air. There was some domestic violence, and
Mm-hmm.
um, and I remember when I was in eighth grade, he challenged me to make straight A's, not one A minus, and then he would give me $500. And this was like 40 something years ago.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of money. And it really set up this pattern of me wanting to prove my worth and get his approval and his love. And the message to me, how I interpreted it, which I might have interpreted it differently if we had a good relationship, you know?
Right.
Like, okay, he's just encouraging me to be my best, to seek excellence. But it wasn't. It was perfectionism, and it was conditional love. That's the message that my young mind received, is
Right.
that somehow who I really am, flaws and the truth of who I am, is not good enough. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's how it gets started. There's just some sort of shame, you know, and need for to be wanted, need to be needed, need to prove ourselves. Codependency.
Okay. And how do you think that sets up? Well, what is imposter syndrome?
Well, my definition is just it's wearing a mask. It's like, well, if somebody really knew my true thoughts, feelings, beliefs, values, or whatever, my authentic self, that it's not good enough. Like they would reject me, they wouldn't like me somehow, they wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
approve, and then I would be booted from the tribe.
Okay.
So we put this mask on of I got to be strong, I got to be capable, and even if I'm hurting inside, I can't let that show.
Okay. And it's what the way I phrase it is we are overstimulated at some point. We are overstimulated to overcompensate for somebody
Mhm.
else at the expense of ourselves.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and you're right. Then we become bonded to dysfunctional love. So I
Yeah.
said I was going to talk about the uh, different uh, chemicals, the four happiness
Mhm.
chemicals that when we hack into them, we're healthy. But they can also
Mhm.
cause great levels of hurt and harm. And oxytocin is the bonding chemical. But
Mhm.
we can wind up becoming what's known as trauma bonded,
Right.
where somebody in our world that has a level of authority that we look up to, uh, they begin to use the whole carrot and stick routine as far as I'm going to dangle this in front of you. The challenge is they're not putting it in front of us because it's going to bring out our brilliance. They're putting
Mhm.
it in front of us because it's going to alleviate their own sense of shame.
Yeah.
And so if we get it, that's great. Then they make us feel good, but then they bring out the stick and say it's not enough.
Mhm.
Or they constantly move the carrot. We never know where the carrot's going to be.
Mhm.
And so we
Mhm.
become bonded to these high highs and as well as low lows.
Yeah. That makes
And
sense.
when you take away that type of bonding, there are withdrawals. And so women that are going through releasing that mask that they had to put out into the world because it wasn't safe to be who they were based
Mhm.
on the age they were, not based on who they are now.
Right.
But whenever they let go of that mask, they're going to start experiencing withdrawals because where are the high highs and the low lows? Stability, certainty is a very firm foundation. But yeah, if we don't understand that we were bonded in a way that was not to bring us out at our best, it was actually to control us and manipulate us for somebody
Right.
else's benefit, then when we begin to heal from that, we're like, oh, no, this doesn't feel right. I'm not feeling anything.
Yeah. It's probably boring, right? It feels like, what? Stability?
Yeah, exactly. Which is, and that's what I want to share with everybody is that you are to guard your heart, not be guided by it. You are to be guided by your higher self. You're to be guided by your higher power. But we're told guard our heart because out of it, all issues of life flow. And so we have to understand that people have to earn the right for our trust.
Mhm.
When we were overstimulated to overcompensate in a dysfunctional way, uh, we were taught to trust the process and that process of relationship bargaining for someone else's benefit at our expense.
So back up a second. You said we have someone needs to earn our trust. Is that what you
Yes,
said?
yes,
Okay. Okay. Someone
yeah.
needs to earn our trust.
Somebody
Yeah.
needs to earn our trust, but we were taught relationship bargaining, where we were taught an internal process of what can we do for them to be okay, but at our expense. And maybe if we do
Right.
enough of that, they'll finally give us the crumbs of love.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So we are to guard our heart, but not put a mask on it.
Right. Right.
Not build a wall around it, because when we build a wall around it, we actually wind up in the middle of it. And now we're looking up, depending on how long we've been building the wall, and we're at the bottom of a well.
So just for clarity, for people listening, Because when you say guard your heart,
Hmm.
some people would say that sounds like you're building a wall.
No.
But to me, it's like a permeable, when we guard our heart, I interpret that as we have healthy boundaries around our
Hmm.
own self-love and really respecting and having high regard for our own heart, for our
Yes.
own feelings.
And so let's take a look at some of the ways that things are guarded in our society. So, works of art that could be considered in some cases almost priceless are kept in a museum for everyone to benefit, but under certain conditions. They're not put on the street side just
Right,
for anybody to come along to do anything they want to them.
right.
We have credit scores that that allow lenders to say, okay, well, you have to be at a certain score to be able to get a loan at a certain amount.
Mm-hmm.
So those loans are guarded by a process because you wouldn't want somebody who doesn't who's not responsible in repaying loans to come in. And let's say you've been really responsible and you've taken care of your bills, you should have earned the right to get a better rate. And then you've got somebody that hasn't repaid anything, they're delinquent all over the place, that they shouldn't get the same benefits you do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
those are good examples.
so guards, in fact, there's a hypnosis session I do where um, it is the temple of your higher self,
Mm-hmm.
and standing outside the temple are two guards. And anybody else that might approach can only gain entrance if they've earned it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get to go down to my local credit union and go, can you let me into the vault? And they're going to go, no, you have access to your stuff, not everybody else's stuff. But I also wouldn't want somebody to go down there and say, hey, Dawn says I have access to her account. No. Are you on the paperwork for it? Because they shouldn't have the right to take something that doesn't belong to them.
Right,
So
right.
we are to guard our heart because out of it, all of the issues of life flow, but not be guided by it. We're supposed to be guided by our higher self because we have issues. Some of us have past issues, and those issues can actually cloud our focus of fulfillment if we allow our heart to guide us because of the bonding that we talked about earlier. We can
Mm-hmm.
be bonded to things that are unhealthy. Oxytocin. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to back up. We are bonded to people that can be unhealthy. And then because we're on these high highs and low lows and we're on this emotional roller coaster, this is how unhealthy habits get set up because we're looking for relief. Oh my gosh, just give me something that'll be okay just for the moment. So maybe we turn to alcohol, maybe we turn to food, maybe we turn to binging on programs or social media, and it gives relief, but then in the long term that sets up an additional problem. But if you
Mm-hmm.
only treat the symptoms of those additional problems, then you never get to the cause, the fact that what you were bonded to start with was unhealthy.
Yep, makes
Okay.
sense.
So
I like how you tied the oxytocin in to the story.
yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever we fall in love, that's one of the reasons why love feels so good. And it could be with a baby, it could be with a puppy, it could be with uh uh an adult. But yeah, it's called the cuddle drug. We just want to snuggle and cuddle with
Oh,
it.
cuddled cuddle drug. Okay.
Cuddle. Yeah, yeah, as in snuggling. And that's the reason why in the beginning, falling in love can feel so good. But after a while, that those chemicals begin to fade. And if we're following our heart, then we're going, oh, I must not be in love anymore. I mean, you've been married a long time, Angie. You've had those
Hmm.
experiences, I'm sure, of going,
Right.
I don't have the passion that I once had.
Hmm.
And that's when people can get confused and go, oh, maybe the relationship is over with. Instead of saying, no, that's just uh, a, a sign that says there is something that we need to do together that we can enjoy. And that can be down to very simple experiences. So, what was something that you and Steve did this weekend that felt good? You went
Going
to
to
the
that company appreciation banquet was nice. Having someone else cook for us and we can just, I can meet some of the people that he works with. Yesterday he made me dinner. He made me minestrone, because I just got done with his 26-day detox. And so he was being sweet. And what's nice is that he had cooked for himself the last 26 days, but yet he continued to cook. So I think it was good for him, but it was very sweet that he made me a meal. That's,
Mm-hmm.
service is a love language of mine, and he's not great in the kitchen. It's not his forte, but it was much appreciated.
Okay. So you were actually experiencing some dopamine in there.
Hmm.
And so dopamine is the reward center.
Okay.
Dopamine is what has us feeling good whenever we complete something. And so you completed your detox. It was a self-care, but dopamine also fires off whenever we eat.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. I
Hmm.
feel I've been low on dopamine because I haven't had, well, I've eaten, but I didn't get the
Right.
same comfort from the food because,
Hmm.
no sugar, no dairy, no meat, no alcohol, no salt. That was a hard one. Um,
Okay.
so I wasn't getting that dopamine hit from food because I love to create with food and
Okay.
express my love through food. So,
Oh, yeah. Now, so when we're low on dopamine, it's been found that there's something very interesting that we can do for it to take its place. And you said you love creating through food, and we're talking about love today. So with dopamine, this is whenever we think about our next date that we're going to have, that can fire off dopamine. When we
mhm.
think about the next engagement, this is again, whenever we're in a relationship and we can't wait to get home and see them, that is dopamine. Dopamine was also found to fire off. So, for example, if people had a gambling addiction, just the thought of going in and playing the slot machines or playing the tables started setting off the dopamine.
Mm,
The challenge is our reward center can get worn out. You did a great reset on the reward center. Our reward center can get worn out because it's like, okay, in the beginning, it's producing and producing and producing. And then it's like, okay, I'm kind of running out. I'm getting a little low here. And the dopamine center can actually begin to shrink. And so we can do a reset by going, I need to learn how to allow longer times in between my activities and getting a reward for it. This,
what do you mean
this,
by we can reset by allowing longer times? What do you
you
mean?
did. So, for example, you did a fast, right?
It wasn't a fast. It was just a
Okay,
detox.
a
Certain foods.
detox. Okay, a
Yeah.
detox of
Yeah.
certain foods. But those foods were giving you pleasure. And then you said, I'm going to be able to delay that pleasure. I'm going to be able to say, I can wait until my 20 some odd days are done before I engage in them again.
Right. Right.
And that allows your reward center to replenish itself.
I see. Because I wasn't sure what you meant how I replenished, just because I did reward myself, but not by going back to a bunch of crap eating or anything like that. But
Right.
just heck, just having my normal salad was with an avocado was great, you
Ooh,
know?
yeah. But that's some of the things that in love in the very beginning, oh, we can get all fired up, but then after a while it begins to dissipate and we're like, okay, what's wrong with us? Well, nothing. Your reward center has gotten worn out. And
And does that mean like we don't think we're gonna get to celebrate our reward? Is that what you mean? When you say it's worn out?
yeah, it literally means that it's not producing dopamine the way it
Mm-hmm.
needed to anymore. Uh, so any type of addiction that's set up starts out a little at the beginning and then it becomes more and more and more because it takes more and more and more to be able to get the same amount of dopamine. In the beginning, it was a little bit of action, a lot of dopamine. In the end, it's a whole hoop and bunch of action, very little dopamine.
Mm-hmm.
And so instead of saying, oh, there must be something wrong. No, you need to understand that you can go periods of time that allows the reward center to reset. This is one of the reasons why it has been found that for the average person, the 6 weeks before they take a vacation is more pleasurable than the vacation itself.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're thinking about all the possibilities and all the things. And then you've worn out the reward center with anticipation, just like the addict gets, gambling addict gets all fired up over playing the slots or playing the tables before they even get to the casino.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. So you've worn out the reward center. And by the time you get on vacation, doesn't feel as good.
So my 26 days, I was resetting my reward center for food.
Mhm.
Food does taste great when you're done with it. It tastes
So
good along with too, but
yeah, it
not the same.
does. So in January, I did a fast from coffee for 3 weeks. And then for 1 week, I did a social media fast.
Mm,
Okay. And you're right. The coffee does taste so much better. And the social media, there were some things that I really enjoyed looking at as far as people rehabbing houses and giving me ideas on different things you can do. And then some of it, I realized, yeah, I don't need that in my feed anymore. So we reset that center. And then we don't need as much when we get back into that activity.
yeah. I think I'm also doing that with blog writing this month because it was just getting to where it was like, this feels like drudgery because I wasn't clear on my audience. Like,
Mm-hmm.
should I be refined more than intuitive women leaders and all this crap? And so, I thought, I'm not looking forward to writing my blog on Mondays. So I thought I'm taking a break from it. I
Yeah,
already had some already written, so I can do that. I just won't have that cushion as much, but so what? Like, trust the fact that I have a part of me that wants to have joy. And so I'm following that joy, like, well, is it bringing me joy? It's not about like not being disciplined because I'm like, I'm very disciplined. I am
right.
very disciplined. I know that's not true. Like my mind might tell me, well, you're just being lazy. You're using that as an excuse to not do something. But um, no, like, no, I'm not lazy. I'm burnt out with writing some blogs, and I need a break.
Yes, yes. Now, when we look at relationships, maybe sometimes we need to take a break from the relationship, but many times it's to reset. It's going, well, what are some of the activities that you can begin to do together that are something that's brand new, something that you've never done before? Because as a couple,
Hmm.
because that allows you to explore, it allows you to grow, it allows you to say, yes, this might be something we want to continue, or no, this is something that does not work, because we can only grow within a relationship with somebody else, whether it's friends, whether it's the love of your life, whether it's your kids. You can only grow inside of a relationship with someone else. And so that dopamine then allows you to get something new to look forward to. Now, whenever I said you can wear yourself out before you take a vacation, the 6 weeks before, that's because you're trying to decide all of it instead of saying, what am I going to experience once I move into it? Probably about 12 years ago, uh, I started taking vacations to where it was, I know this is the general area I want to go, but I'm not going to book a room. I know these are the general activities I want to do, but I'm not going to plan them in advance. I'm just going to go and allow it to be an adventure. Now, I don't do all of my vacations like that. But whenever you allow it to be an adventure, hey, let's just go and try this. That's what can set off the dopamine because there's uncertainty there and you're in it with somebody else.
Well, we're about to embark on a little vacation to Las Vegas on Monday, for 6 days. And so that's kind of how we vacation. Like we don't, I'm not wearing my vacation out at all because I honestly, like a part of me doesn't want to go to Las Vegas. I don't gamble. And so, but I know there will be other things to do. And
Oh my
I,
gosh,
I
yeah.
booked it because I needed to use points and it just worked out. And Steve's never been there. Steve's never been to Las Vegas. And so we haven't planned anything. And I mean, I know where we're staying, but that's about the extent of it, and I'm not gonna have a car rental. So it'll be like new, and we haven't flown in over 4 years, so we're flying.
Okay.
Yeah, so that'll all be something new, and I'm just trying to go with the flow of it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. So the anticipation of, oh, potential between the two of you,
Hmm.
that can set off dopamine in the experience. And even when things don't go right, the
Yeah.
dopamine is still there in the retelling of the stories of, oh my gosh.
Right.
And then there was this.
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard stories, yeah, about Vegas. And I want
Okay,
to say one more thing. What about something that we really have enjoyed is ping pong at our house because we have a pool table, and so Steve converts it to a ping pong table.
great.
And so we've been playing ping pong and it's been a lot of fun. Usually I don't like games a whole lot, but he's a big game person. That's how I grew up. And so I've recently switched my attitude towards it. Like if he's being hard on me, like, beating me, I see that as he's helping me become a better ping pong player. Like, you know what I mean? Like our skills are
Yeah.
built in the processes. So it doesn't have to be a new activity. That's my point. It could be something like ping pong but you never know who's going to win, right? So that's adventure, right?
That's it right there. You know,
Yeah.
very similar to playing the slot machine. You never know when you're going to win. But
And I beat
this
him
is,
twice yesterday.
I will remind him of that the next time I see him. Okay. Um, the other happiness chemical that I wanted to talk about is serotonin. Serotonin is our mood stabilizer. It's what allows us to feel like we've got a firm foundation. It allows us to feel stable. And the way that happens in relationships is if we feel significant, if we matter. And so if we only matter when we're performing, then we can never take a break.
Hmm.
If we only matter when we match someone else's expectations instead of learning how to relate both the best parts of us and the bruised parts, if we're only doing it to meet their expectations, well, then we're not going to feel really stable in the relationship. And
So you're
some of
learning
the,
how to relate. Yeah, you're learning how to relate for the sheer, to me, it's again, comes back to our own self-regard. And we protect that, and then we also protect theirs. I believe that if we want a long-term relationship, we need to protect their self-regard as well. That I need to keep viewing him in a high way, in a respectful way. And if I don't, we need to have the conversation. Like what happened? What created the disconnect?
and that's excellent, because if we were to look at what comes first, trust or respect, trust comes first.
Yeah, yeah,
And then after that, respect and honor. But we can't give away what we don't possess for ourselves. So the 5 levels of trust. The first level is, uh, do we get them? And once we get them, once we understand them, second level, are we for them?
yeah.
Because I can get somebody and I am not for them.
Right, right. Yep. I talk
Mm-mm.
about that a lot.
Yeah. And then the third level, the third and fourth level are interchangeable. Are they a person of character? Do they have a track record? So that's 3 and 4. And then the fifth level is, what do we want to create with them?
Hmm.
Now we have to do that for ourselves. But instead, if we were taught to believe in somebody without them having earned that, there's a difference between faith and belief. And belief says, I've accepted this as the truth. It is worthy of me, and now I'm going to act on it. Most of us are just taught this is the truth and you need to act on it. So our belief is incomplete because it needs to be worthy of us. Well, if we don't understand that we need to be for ourselves, we need to get ourselves, be for ourselves, establish our track record, understand we are a person of character. Maybe that character was perverted to cover up somebody else's pain. Now we have the ability to create something significant with someone else because now we can give what we possess for ourselves.
Absolutely.
Respect
So,
says, yeah, go ahead.
go ahead, finish your sentence and I'll
So
jump in. Respect
respect
says,
says that we value and honor something, that it is a place of worth. But I'm not going to value something if I don't trust it.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was just gonna say with serotonin, I think of when you go to sleep. You know, you're going to sleep. And so every night around 8, 8:30, I'll say it's serotonin time. And I will I keep these lights in the living room, and I unplug the lights, and then I put on these blue blocker glasses,
Mm-hmm.
to help me, if I'm still looking at a screen like the TV screen or whatever. So I don't know, that's just something that I think people can
Yes.
associate. It's serotonin time, and Steve, like, he knows it. Like, are you gonna turn the lights out? And then just get in that calm state of
Mm-hmm.
preparing for sleep and relaxation.
Yes. Other things that create serotonin, sunlight. And so many people are sunlight deprived.
Hmm.
If you can get 5 minutes within an hour of waking up, and it has to be direct sunlight, that means that you're not viewing it through a window or a windshield. You have to actually be outside. Sunglasses, not a good idea unless they're prescription glasses. Those are
I
okay.
don't wear them. Yeah, I don't wear them.
Hmm. So it allows the eyes, which are the only extension of the brain outside of our skull. So our eyes are not a separate organ. They are the brain that's actually an extension. It allows our brain to receive blue and yellow light. The only time it's produced is in the morning. And it is a mood stabilizer for the day.
What if it's not light within an hour of waking up?
The
Because
lights,
it's not for me.
so for example, I'm up before dawn. Okay. I'm up at
Yeah.
5:30, and
Okay.
this time of year, sun is not coming up till between 6:30 and 7 o'clock.
Right.
So if you can get out close to sunrise then and just
Hmm.
face in the direction of the sun, you're not looking at the sun directly, you're just facing in that direction. But it is allowing your eyes to receive blue and yellow light. Science has not been able to replicate that light. So it
Does
is
it
a
matter
mood
if the sun
stabilizer.
is not, if we can't see the sun?
No,
If it's behind
because
the clouds?
yeah, because the rays still come through the clouds.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So
So
it
around
does.
sunrise.
Yeah. So 5 minutes within waking up, unless it's not sunrise yet, and then get out as close as you can right after sunrise. And that is a mood stabilizer. But there's another mood stabilizer that you can do inside of a relationship. And that is doing something that is brisk physical activity together. Because exercise sets off serotonin. So when you guys are playing ping pong,
Hmm.
yes, you're adding stability through serotonin in your relationship.
Hmm. And it's physical and it's fun and we laugh and yeah.
Yeah. And you get to
Yeah.
be silly.
Right. Right.
Hmm. Yes,
Yeah.
because uh humor can it is actually found with endorphins. It's the last one I'm going to bring up. Endorphins are the painkiller. When we laugh, when we watch stand-up comedy, not sitcoms, and I'll explain that in just a moment. We produce endorphins. In fact, it has been found that if you were to do something called a Duchenne smile,
What?
a Duchenne, it is named after the
Okay.
gentleman that discovered it, and it's where your eyes crinkle up
Oh, right, right.
because you smile
I didn't
so
know it was
big.
called that. Uh-huh.
In fact, for a lot of, especially women, when they get their picture taken, they will have the wrinkles around their eyes airbrushed out.
Uh-huh.
And it is those wrinkles that actually, when people look at your photo, they know that you're trustworthy.
Hmm.
So don't
I've
get the.
definitely heard that. Yeah, yeah.
So Duchenne smile, if you were to take a pen or a pencil and stick it in your mouth like that,
Yeah.
and then you are rigged up to all sorts of electrodes because they're doing a science experiment, and they put your hand in a bucket of freezing cold water.
Mhm.
The simple act of smiling, even though there's nothing funny about this, you're forcing the smile, has
Yeah.
been found to produce the endorphins to allow you not to notice how cold it is for a much longer period of time than if you were to just have a neutral expression on your face.
Yeah. I've definitely heard that.
So,
Not about the cold water, but just the doing anything. Like if you smile, it's like it confuses the body.
um, so the body follows the brain, but then the brain also follows the body, which is the reason why I say don't allow your emotions to guide you, because those show up, and then you're going, oh, I don't feel like doing this activity, and it's healthy for you. I don't feel like exercising today. Well, do it do it for 10 minutes. Then if you don't feel like you want to do it because it is healthy for you, then if you don't feel like doing it, you can stop. But you've got to train your emotions that they do not run the show. Your higher self, who you're becoming. You know, the only reason why we set goals is not to get stuff. We set goals because it gives a direction in order for our personality to develop for progress. It's the only reason why we set a goal. If we set a goal just to acquire, it'll never be enough.
Did you say to acquire progress?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
How'd you say that we
it's
set goals to give a direction to
our
acquire progress?
personality. Yes, to develop progress. We are
To develop. Okay.
developing, yeah, we are developing new areas of ourselves. That's the only reason why we set a goal. Because when you set a goal, you're saying, here I am, and what I want is at a space other than where I am right now. Well, there's a void in between where I am and that goal. And the subconscious will not tolerate a void. So what's going to fill it with? Well, if it's for the average person, it's just going to be busy work. If it is for a peak performer, they're like, who do I need to become in order to receive that goal and anything else like it? And so that way they can replicate it again and again, not for the accumulation, but instead the acquiring of the next level of their growth.
So, question around this. Like I gave you the example that I had been consistently writing a blog
Mm-hmm.
every week for 15 years. Like,
And
I mean,
yeah,
it's
and you need
been
to take
very
a break.
consistent. But yet, that voice about, well, you can't listen to your emotions. It gets tricky because,
No, you can't
where's your
be
discernment and
led.
intuition?
You can't be led by your emotions. I didn't say you couldn't listen to them.
Hmm. So what's the
Emotions,
difference?
so emotions will either infect, they will inform, or they will impact. If they infect you, that's when it's nothing you will do will ever make it any better.
Okay.
Informing or impacting. So let's say that you have a fear of public speaking. Okay, it's a valid fear. Do you want it to inform you, or do you want to use the fear to impact you? And when I say impact, you actually optimize the fear and you say, yeah, I want to make sure I do a good job. So I'm going to actually use this fear to put me on point to see what I need to notice to make my presentation the very best it can be. It's no different than somebody in an elite level of special forces in the military. They don't try to get rid of fear. They say, I'm going to turn it on and I'm going to notice everything around me that I better pay attention to because it could impact me and I can use that fear. But sometimes emotions need to inform us. They need to inform us and educate us that a different course of action needs to be experienced.
Hmm.
And so when the emotion shows up that I can't do this anymore. Then you're like, okay, well, is this something I still need to do in order to be healthy? Do I need to optimize it? Do I keep that emotion and go, no, I need to keep moving forward? Or is it informing you that something else needs to take place? And that's going to be different for every single person. But see how we're using our focus. You focus first, that's mental. And then we go, oh, okay, now I can allow the emotions to come in and share with me what they want me to know, but I'm not going to be led by them. And a lot of times our emotions will lead us off course because we never guarded them to start with. You said at the beginning about your dad trying to push you into overperformance.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have the capacity at that time to be able to guard your heart and keep him out. So when something shows up and says, we might be overperforming here, it could be showing up saying, please let me know that you are going to protect me in a healthy way. Or are you going to continue to push me and have me overperform? Now, when you're in some situations, listening to those emotions, no, I need you to overperform anyway. For whatever reason, we got to keep going right now. Because what most people do whenever they get close to achieving success and they're seeing some results, they take their foot off the accelerator. They allow themselves to pull back. Well, I can take it easy right now. And they've pulled back before they have fully formed that identity that we were talking about a moment ago. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be different for every individual. But are your emotions infecting you? Are they informing you? Or do they need to be optimized for impact?
I think mine are informing me,
Yeah,
to pivot.
too many times we get stuck in a rut and we continue to do the same thing over and over again. And then it's like, okay, well, yeah, here's the results that I want. This is the reason why I've been writing a blog. I don't do it just because it's busyness. I do it because
Right.
it's part of my business. And so I've still got a result that I want to experience, but there needs to be other ways to get that result.
Mhm. And I think looking for joy is important, Am I experiencing joy doing this activity?
Mm-hmm. Now, joy, we're genetically wired for. Happiness is separate.
Mm-hmm.
Joy is this the fullest expression of me? And this is the reason why we can be within a shit show of an experience and still have joy.
Mm-hmm.
When my mom in 2019, when she broke her hip and things didn't heal right, and I had to go down there for a couple of weeks to where she was living in another state. I'm in Missouri, she was in Florida. Had to go down for a couple of weeks and take care of her, and she was in so much pain. It was a very hurtful situation. I was still experiencing joy because I was able to be there for her and support her. It was a fuller expression of myself. That's joy. Happiness is temporary. Happiness comes from solving problems. And once we've solved one problem, we want to be happy, so we find another one to solve. Okay, nothing wrong with that. But it is
It's
different
sort of
than
like the
joy.
rat race. It's a rat race, though, in a sense,
No, it's
because
how
there's
we
always going to be problems, you
there's
know.
always, but are you solving higher quality problems? That's the whole idea. If you're the rat race is you continue to solve low level problems. The idea is what's the next higher level problem that is worthy of me solving it? That's a belief that says I accept this as the truth. I deserve to be happy. But is this problem worthy of me working on it before I act on it?
Yeah.
So we can experience the lack of endorphins whenever we go through loss. And then what happens there is everything hurts. It seems like every situation is conspiring against us. We ache in our body. We begin to lose hope. And we look at the stages of grief, which are not a straightforward process. But there are things that we can do to reintroduce endorphins in our life. And it's the very things that when we're experiencing loss, we don't want to do. For example, laughing.
And smiling, yeah, you don't want to do that.
No. Or exercising and getting up and moving. Now, I said earlier about sitcoms are not a good idea. And
Yeah.
this is really interesting. It has been found that for a person experiencing situational depression, not clinical, where they say you need to be on medication, but situational, because you've lost something in your life. It could be a job, it could be a friendship, it could be a family member, it could be something that you thought was going to work out as far as maybe a weekend getaway. It could be the loss of health, getting a diagnosis, you or somebody close to you. When you're experiencing situational depression and you're watching a sitcom, you're usually laughing because those people are in experiences that are not working out. But it's a continuation. It goes on and on and on. With the next episode, nothing works out. And the next episode, nothing works out. And if they get any triumphs, they are very short lived. So, what are you programming yourself with? You're programming yourself with an experience that you are going to have hurt, punctuated by small periods of feeling good, and that others will be able to watch you and laugh at your situation at your expense.
Hmm. So you wouldn't watch Netflix series or anything like that?
No, but I'd get on and watch those stand-up comedy routines. Okay. Yes.
What if you
Because
enjoy? Like I enjoy, we watched a series called 6 Feet Under on Netflix. And it had, we enjoyed it.
well, yeah, I'm talking about when you're in an experience and you're having loss. Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
If you're,
So
yeah.
yeah, situational depression and oh, I'm going to watch something that's going to make me feel better. Binging on something like that is not a good idea. Binging on
Mm-hmm.
stand-up comedy routines is. I love Kathleen Madigan. In fact,
Mm-hmm.
she's from right here in St. Louis. And so when she does her stand-up routine, I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, that's us. All right. um, because there's a beginning, there's an ending, and a stand-up comedian, it's not hinged on typically, oh my gosh, my life is a shit show. It is based on um, can you relate and let's find a way to get through this together.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we've been covering a whole hoop and bunch, Angie. Um, as we begin to wrap up, what are some of your favorite techniques using hypnosis to help somebody heal from hurt with love? And I'll give you an example. Whenever I'm doing my induction, whenever I'm doing my deepener or my hypnotic prescription, I love having them outside in nature, going from a valley and taking a trail that switches back and forth in an easy way up the side of a mountain and then
Mm,
getting to the top. And the view is just absolutely magnificent, but also all the things that they find along the way as they're moving up. And the reason why I like that is because we're taking them from the lower levels of their brain into the
mhm.
higher levels and then giving them the vantage point of looking at what they've been going through and gain the lessons that will take them to the next peak easier.
Yeah, it gives them hope. There's hope.
Hmm. And it's also action oriented and they're out in the sun. And I
Yeah.
typically have them with a group where they meet groups of people along the way. So I'm doing everything I can to fire off the happiness chemicals, hacking into them, and then saying, okay, in the same way you use them here, you're going to find additional ways to use them after the session is over with.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
what do you have any um, tips, tools, or techniques that you like utilizing?
Hypnosis. I don't know that I have any particular script. I think it's just more based on the person and what they're going through.
Mm-hmm.
But I do love using nature ones. I use nature inductions and deepeners all the time because I think being in nature just allows us to relax. There's something about nature that's very calming to the nervous system.
Serotonin.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
right. So, yeah, I would say that those are the kinds of inductions and stuff that I use. And I do think when it comes to the script itself, I would use the parts, a lot of the parts therapy ones
Mm-hmm.
where we're helping that the healing brook, is a good one, I think, to heal the heart. And, that water is like cleansing over them um and then just having them connect with the part of themselves that has been hurt and disappointed and wants to guard the heart, but not in the way, they're guarding it in a way that's like keep out
They
everything,
build a wall.
right,
Yeah.
right, to reconnect to themselves, to
Mm-hmm.
start to trust themselves is a great way, I think, to work out of like the heartbreak, like in a relationship or a loss, maybe through death.
Yes. Yes.
Because we have to be here for ourselves. If we can't do that for ourselves, where do we go? Like, I mean, we're with ourselves 24/7,
If we don't do it for ourselves, what we're still going to do it. We'll do it for somebody else, but
Mm,
at our expense, thinking that doing that, they'll finally love us and accept us because we've overperformed. But when we
hmm.
dysfunctionally give, we either attract in dysfunctional takers or we can trigger the person that we're giving to be dysfunctional.
Hmm. Hmm.
And now they're down at our level and we got two people in a pit.
Right, right. Well, this was
Okay.
a very involved conversation. I didn't
It
expect
was
it to be as involved. Yeah, good.
okay. All right, Angie, give your contact information. If there's a woman out there that says, yes, I need to talk to Angie about some of the things that I've got going on to see if she can assist me.
My my website is Harmony Harbor, HARBOR.com. And my email is Angie at the same thing, harmonyharbor.com. My phone number is 1-314-422-6520. And I am forming a group, Mental Fitness for Intuitive Women Leaders, that's going to be starting in March. And I would just invite you if you want to do a discovery session in which we figure out how you can be a loving self advocate. Go out to my website and go to the contact page, and I would love to chat with you.
And I'm going to share that if you feel a calling to be able to not only address this area of your life, but maybe assist others and helping them with it also. marry your passion for progress as well as helping others as a healingpreneur. Think about becoming a certified hypnotist. I have a class that is coming up. It's virtual, so you can attend from anywhere. Go to dawnlandrum.com. You will see all the information there for it and become a certified hypnotist, as well as maybe you want to see about working with me personally. There is a link there to set your break free call. Angie, as always, thank you for joining me
Thank
on
you.
Insider Secrets to Success. And today it's all about love. And I want you and Steve to have a phenomenal time in Vegas. Yes.
Thank you. It
All
would be on
right.
Valentine's Day too.
Oh, great. All right,
Yeah.
everybody. Go out now and allow yourselves to guard your heart and be guided by your higher self. Until we get together again, blessings on your journey.
Bye.